earlier on we mentioned that in the north, the health situation is not as ideal. Our hypertension prevalence is higher, our diabetes prevalence is also higher. Even HPB told me, I don't know how true, that based on Healthy 365 data, people here apparently walk lesser than the rest of Singapore. So our average median walking time, exercise time is about 100 minutes, whereas the median for the whole country is 120 minutes. But in any case, we have always noticed also from the feedback of hospitals in the north that we do see more serious chronic issues in the north, which is why we are implementing quite a few programs in the north first, given this situation, with the view that once it's successful, we want to extend to the rest of Singapore. So today what we are launching is Let's Jalan, starting at Sembawang, and we want to make this a success so that we can also extend it to the other parts of the country. But actually, Let's Jalan basically is a brisk walking movement to get as many people as possible to do brisk walking. And the reason being brisk walking is the simplest, lowest entry exercise for most people, especially seniors. You don't need equipment, you don't need a gym, you don't need subscription, you can do alone, but although doing it with friends is more fun. And it is something that is very established. In fact, I believe around Singapore there are certain divisions which has already done very successful, already implemented very successful brisk walking program. But we want to do it as a town as a whole, or as a GRC as a whole, together with the help of the CDC. So today is the launch. We are leveraging a few things. Number one is trackers. Trackers are actually very attractive to residents. You can see on my right, we set up a tracker booth, vending machine. Over a month, we issued over 500 trackers, and people are just genuinely interested to get a tracker which also tells the time. So that get people into the program as a very good start. Second is HPB also improves its incentives. So from June onwards, the Healthy 365 program will also be enhanced. So you have interesting features. I'll be curious to see them. Wayfinding, for example, to look out what are the routes that people can take. They will have check-ins. Yeah? So when you check in, like looking for Pokemon, if you check in, you get extra points and translate into extra incentives and vouchers. So I think these are also useful. But thirdly, and most importantly, is that we need ground-up support and mobilization. So we are getting all our RN volunteers, our AACs here, all to start their own individual clubs. It doesn't have to be a mass walk all the time. Today is the launch, so we bring all the clubs to congregate here, 300 people or so. But this is just the start. What we hope to do is to have a cadence on the ground, a proliferation of different walking groups that you can join easily and walk with your neighbors and your friends. And I hope this is a start of a big movement where brisk walking, become part and parcel of the life of a senior to keep ourselves healthy. Okay. Ultimately, as I mentioned, I hope this is a success, and the lessons we learn, what works, what doesn't work, can be spread to other parts of the country, and so that walking becomes part of life for all Singaporeans. Yeah.
Thanks, Bin. On another topic, MOH announced temporary funding for transport operators last week, if I'm correct. So how will you guys be operationalizing this, and also will you all be planning to extend it past the 3 lights?
Yeah, I think this is in response to the war in the Middle East and the closure of Straits of Hormuz that affected energy prices. Energy prices will bound to increase further. Electricity prices will bound to increase further. So in anticipation of that, we have rolled out our first set of support measures. So it's actually not just MOH, but MOT, MSF. So we're helping the transport operators involved in the transportation of school children, sped school students, persons with disability, as well as those on long-term care or dialysis. So we provided some 10% of support package to the operators. And we'll monitor the situation and see how it unfolds and whether there will be a need for further measures.
So, with regards to the vaping law, the new anti-vaping law
Yes.
coming into play on May 1st, can we get some comments from you about what you hope this will achieve and what the current situation is and whether the measures that were rolled out temporarily have worked?
Yeah. I think the measures that rolled out temporarily largely work. And I think for many, because the abusers tend to be young, so once they are caught, fined, brought into rehabilitation, we did notice most of them adhere to the rehabilitation program, and it does look like they don't go back. Yeah, because being young, I think they just wander into this and out of curiosity or peer pressure. So this is what we've done using the temporary measures, and because we noticed that it has worked for this majority, we have basically enshrined them into a new law, which is the TVCA, coming into force 1st of May. And I think it will continue to work. Under the new law, basically we formalize all the temporary measures, but we enhanced it further. So I would expect it will work for the majority. Having said that, implementation is critical because on the other hand, we will also notice there is a group of recalcitrant, which is not unexpected. That means they caught once, go for rehab. Halfway through rehab, we may catch them a second time, some even a third time. You might have read about some of them. Already, some of them will end up charged in court and will end up in custody. Yeah. So for this group, paying some attention to it, because you don't want a group of young recalcitrant youths going into this, get addicted, and then they destroy their lives. So what we will do is operationally, we don't need change in law. The law provides for it. Operationally, see how we can escalate faster, take firmer action faster, because we have a set of protocol. First offense, what we do. Second offense, go for urine test. Third offense, you may end up in DRC. For some of these recalcitrant type, even at the first offense, we should be able to detect them and escalate the measures faster. And that way, I think we nip the problem in the bud. So these are operational issues that is still unfolding and we are still improving. Okay?
Yeah, so maybe just back to the event.
Yes.
You mentioned that in the north, people seem to be slightly less active. Is there a reason that you think this is so, and are you all going to look into this further as to what might be hindering people in the north from being more active?
Yeah, the answer is I really don't know, you know. It's not as if we got more MRT stations than other or more bus stops than other divisions, but this is what Healthy 365 data show us. Yeah, it could also be a matter of participation. Yeah, because people who are active may not be participating in Healthy 365. If they are, then your numbers look better. But in any case, I think in Sembawang in the north, we have a lot of assets in the form of parks, park connectors, very nice areas to walk in, yeah, near the coast. We got enthusiastic volunteers that are prepared to mobilize the ground. We got residents who care about their health because they live in the constituency of the health minister. So I think there's a lot of opportunities here that we can energize the ground and show the rest of Singapore this can be done. Yeah.
Minister, could you share some updates from the health promoting initiatives in Brisbane?
Okay, a major one that's coming up that I think we should watch out for is the control of sodium. Yeah, we have quite successfully implemented measures on control or consumption of sugar, and not through some measures that other countries have done, which is tax sugar. We realize it's difficult to tax sugar because Asian culture, we consume sugar in so many forms. It's difficult to have an equitable tax on sugar. So instead we went on education, particularly through the Nutri-Grade labeling. And just the labeling, just ABCD, got the industry first got the industry to reformulate their beverages. Second, also got consumers, including young consumers, to look for A and B rather than C and D. So we did see, and we can, through our survey, notice a change in diet of the population. So in my view, this is actually a very successful program without any taxation, yeah, or any penalty or enforcement, you know, just pure education. So we want to now do that for sodium and saturated fats, which is the other two ingredients, nutrients, where in excess can cause a lot of harm. So this takes some time to implement because we have notified the industry. They are working on reformulation of all their sauces, from soya sauce to duck sauce to sambal belacan to fish sauce. They are all looking into it, and we are giving them enough time. But I think not long from now, we should be able to roll out formally, and we are still discussing with the industry and studying how best to do an equivalent of Nutri-Grade grading for salt, for sodium and saturated fats. The complication is this. In sugar, it is inside the drink and we consume the drink directly. So you grade the beverages, immediately you change diet. But in the case of sodium and saturated fat, they are found in ingredients used for cooking. So you add a lot more variability because of the process of cooking. So the labeling technique is not as straightforward, but nevertheless we are looking into it to see how best to implement.
Is there a timeline for this?
There is, I forgot. I think it's end of next year, something like that. Yeah. You can follow up with the popcorns, okay? All right, can. 要用，你要我重复哪一遍？重复哪一段呢？